It is a strange feeling to be cold in a forest that is still smoldering from a wildfire. We are living in a world that we didn't create, but that also means that we get to create the world that comes next. Do we want more of this, or do we want to leave our kids and our grandkids a better planet? Because if we do, we're gonna have to start making some really big choices, some choices that some people are gonna call radical. Things like banning fossil fuel production globally. Really, we're talking that big. And that's the reason that we're creating Chase's Climate Change Survival Guide on NBCLX. But before we look forward to what we can do, let's begin with what we know. Call it a Climate 101. What is the difference between weather and climate? This is an important thing to understand because a lot of people get this wrong, even United States senators.
We keep hearing that 2014 has been the warmest year on record. You know what this is? It's a snowball, and that's just from outside here. So it's very, very cold out.
So weather is a snowball, snowfall, even if it's unseasonable. Weather is the fact that it's raining right now in Los Angeles and it's 57 degrees. So weather is the short term. Climate is the long term. You can also think of it like the stock market. Stocks might fall on a particular day, but over the course of a year, the stock market might still be up. So that single day fall would be weather, even though the overall trend is up. Climate. And the overall trend on our planet is that it is getting hotter and that heating up is accelerating. Heating up, it's the greenhouse effect. But what is it? We need some greenhouse effect because if I'm Earth, it would be like wearing a t-shirt on a pleasant day. If we have the right amount of, let's say, our two most powerful greenhouse gases, CO2 and methane, the right amount of them is like Earth wearing a t-shirt. You're feeling good, but adding more and more of these greenhouse gases to the atmosphere is like Earth putting on more layers. Eventually, you get too hot. And if you've heard about carbon capture, I mean, it's in theory sort of like, taking off some of these layers. And we have the newest and most advanced carbon capture facility in the world that just opened in Iceland.
These huge fans sucking carbon dioxide directly from the air.
But it needs an entire year to remove the amount of carbon that humans add to the atmosphere in just 3 seconds. Our best carbon capture is nature, what are known as carbon sinks. You can think of a carbon sink as anything that's holding more carbon than it would release. So it's keeping that carbon out of the atmosphere. To keep things very simple, imagine that these sponges are different kinds of carbon sinks and the water is carbon. Some of the biggest carbon sinks are our oceans and plants and trees. Let's start actually with plants and trees. Let's imagine that this green sponge is the Amazon rainforest, the biggest carbon sink on land. It's doing a really good job of holding carbon for us. But then we start to deforest the Amazon, and then the Amazon catches on fire, and we keep deforesting the Amazon, and all of a sudden what was a carbon sink has turned into a carbon source. And then there's the permafrost, say in Alaska or Canada. It's been holding all of this carbon frozen for a very long time, and as the planet gets warmer, now the permafrost is releasing carbon into the atmosphere too. And then there's our oceans, maybe the biggest carbon sink of them all. Scientists are increasingly worried that as the planet gets warmer and the oceans get warmer, that they're losing their ability to hold carbon for us too. So now we've created this actual mess. We're basically hurting nature's ability to help us.
1.5 degrees Celsius of warming. What does that mean? Well, first of all, let's talk Fahrenheit. 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, Earth is already 2.2 degrees warmer than it was in 1880. And let's be clear, 2.7 is not good. That's just what scientists think we can handle. And we're already at 2.2. All right, let's go hike because we've got 3 paths for what could be next. There's the one that scientists say we should take with warming of 2.7 degrees, and that's by cutting global emissions in half by 2030. Then there's the path that we promised we would take. That's warming of 4 degrees. But the path we're actually on is, it's that one way at the top. That's warming of 5 degrees. And to be clear, scientists agree that any warming above 2.5 or 3 degrees gets really risky. I mean, we're talking Book of Revelation, apocalyptic kind of stuff.
But there are things that you and I can do as individuals, tangible solutions to help us feel more empowered, not powerless. Because when we make decisions about what we buy, who we give our money to or don't give our money to, what we eat, how we travel, maybe even where we live, when enough of us make those decisions together, it can have a real impact. And that's the reason that we're creating Chase's Climate Change Survival Guide on NBCLX.